Hello, friends. Before we start the show today, it's time to plug an upcoming Chapo live event. That's right. We are playing at the Pickathon Music Festival on Saturday, August 4th, just outside of beautiful Portland, Oregon. That's right. Chapo is at a music festival. Now, I've heard personal testimony from everyone I've talked to, from bands and festival goers, that say that this is genuinely one of the best music festivals in the country. A really fun and chill time. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest, or if you wanted to see it perform at a venue that's like sort of a modified barn, and if you want to see us perform inside the Wicker Man, please go to pickathon.com and pick up your tickets. Chris, would you like to? I mean, obviously, Chapo Trap House is going to be a Pickathon, but who are some of the other artists that will be performing at this storied festival?
I mean, I'm very excited to go to this because I'm a fan of music festivals. I go to music festivals, and to get to play at one with such a great lineup, I'm very excited for. We've got 90s indie rock icons built to spill. We've got the Jizza playing with, I believe,
the genius yes. of the Wu-Tang Clan.
I believe playing with like a live band that he plays with, which sounds really good.
Like Liquid Swords with live musical accompaniment with an orchestra. I mean, come on, that's worth the price of admission right there.
UK buzz band, Wet Leg, TV Priest, Gorilla Toss, and Operator Music Band. I've seen both of those two bands here in New York. They both rock. The new Gorilla Toss album is fucking awesome. Faye Webster, Goth Babe, I really like. My good friends over at the Off Book podcast will be there as well. If you want to see a podcast that's like the exact polar opposite of Chapo, but also very, very funny, they're an improvised musical podcast.
I learned about Wet Leg through Chris Wade. We incorporated Wet Leg into our sort of like I don't know, like waiting music before we go on stage at one of our live shows. If you saw us on our latest live tour, you probably heard some Wet Leg. All I will say about Wet Leg is went to school and got the big D. That's what it's all about, folks. It's getting the big D.
So that's pickathon.com for tickets. The whole festival will also be streamed live over with Frequency for like $10. You can see basically everything streaming live. If you can't make it to the Pacific Northwest, that'll also be that. And finally, if a festival is not your vibe, I will say that we are also still looking to book another show in the Portland area around that time. However, nothing is solidified, so if you want to be guaranteed to see us in or around Portland in August, as of right now, it's pickathon.com. Grab your tickets. See you there.
Barring monkeypox and explosions, of course.
Chaz, too. We're starting it in Portland, Oregon. Come be there. Come be part of the movement. All right, let's start the show. Hello, babies. It's the Big Chapo here. It's Monday, May 23rd. Sorry, I was just watching Big Bopper videos all weekend, and it's time for the Big Bopper to come back. The Big Bopper fan community is dying. Please like and support the Big Bopper and Chantilly Lace.
You know, he's got a few other bangers. There's a couple of B-sides there in that catalog that could really blow your mind if you gave him a chance.
Other songs about different kinds of women's underwear that just drive me crazy, baby. Yeah. The Big Bopper he was sort of like the original DJ Khaled, because he was a big dumb goofball who was, a DJ, but not really, who got famous for saying things on a song.
Just talking. and then getting killed alongside more talented people. I actually do think that, as much as Chantilly Lace, a bop, as we would all agree, as much as it's part of the 50s tapestry of popular music, I think he would be less remembered if he was just the guy who did Chantilly Lace and not the guy who died in a plane crash with Buddy Holly and Richie Valens.
I feel like I've always identified with Peter Boyle's X-Files character, in that I was always more of a fan of the Big Bopper than Buddy Holly. And ever since that moment, I've been able to predict the future. And I can do nothing to change it. I can see what's coming exactly, but can do nothing to alter the future. That is my curse, but it's one I'm happy to share with you guys on the show here. And speaking of predicting the future, cursed or otherwise, friends, we spent a long time doing what I feel like is just, shrieking into the darkness to no avail. No one's paying attention. No one's willing to step up and follow our advice. Well, That time is over. Somebody up there is finally listening to us. What am I referring to? Yes, Eric Adams' 2024 presidential bid. It's real. It's happening. We were right. I can't wait for this train to leave the station.
I love firing up the lathe of heaven again. Feels good.
This is according to the New York Post. Eric has told me repeatedly that he thinks he has a platform to run for national office for president in 2024. He has said that repeatedly. He thinks that New York is a national platform. He thinks the National Party has gotten too far left, and he thinks he has a platform to win. This is contingent on Joe Biden not running or not seeking a second term. But there's another article out this weekend about how he was in D.C. National Democrats are basically courting him to help with a national communication strategy. And if there's one person who can do it, it's the mayor of New York City.
He's the man. He knows that we need a vibe shift. He knows that is the most important thing. I mean, and if he thought that the special deposit of gems and minerals under New York gave it a special energy and a vibe, imagine when he finds out what Washington, D.C. is buried.
Oh, my goodness. Is Eric Adams aware that the street plan layout of Washington, D.C. is a pentagram?
Yeah.
I'd like to make him aware of that fact now.
It's on ley lines. There's like orphan bones under there.
I'm getting a special energy from this pet cemetery.
I saw over the weekend, like a lot of people were saying, like, oh, like, Eric Adams, like the Democratic national communications strategist. I was like, everyone was saying, basically, people who would have gotten that job otherwise are just saying, like, this is clown shit. Like, can you believe how stupid the Democrats are? It's like, well, sorry you didn't get the job, buddy. But like, out of anyone who would have want to or conceivably be qualified to do that awful, stupid job, is there anyone better than Eric Adams? Because like I don't see them walking through that door.
As we've discussed, New York City is like the third most powerful executive office in the United States, and that means it's functionally identical to president, and that means it's equally powerless. It's equally a figurehead position, and it's equally there for someone to absorb the public's anger and also to just provide some sort of narrative to explain what's exactly happening. And Joe Biden's he's on screen at the Soylent Green Factory talking to Edward G. Robinson. And, I don't think maybe people thought that was preferable to Trump, driving the fucking plane into the building. But I think I think at this point, everyone's like, yeah, we'd rather have some illusions, please, that there's some future here. And who can do that better than the man who is so just psychopathically confident and sure of himself that there's no way that wouldn't spill over into all of us and the way we think of our country.
My best pitch for why this does make sense, despite how it appears on the surface, is that as a national candidate or a national communications guru, he has two things to recommend himself in terms of communicating with like the American public at large. One is he doesn't seem to be online at all, or really like have any idea about
that's true
like, online social media discourse or like
that's the confidence
tweets
thing.
or take of the day.
He doesn't compulsively have to put a dipstick in to see how he's coming across, like Kamala Harris, which is what ruins her.
Yeah. Number two, and probably most importantly of all, he's not online, but he is also a genuine weirdo.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. We've proven pretty conclusively that what we really want is something, like Joe Biden is will probably be the last ever president who just represented like the Democratic Party. It's all going to be personalities now and like fragments of a personality. And so, you're either someone who people have already proven they love because of your charisma, because you're a famous person, like Donald Trump, for example, or you're just so fucking freaky that you are magnetic, that people want to look at you because they just are amazed that someone like you exists and they want to see what you're going to get up to next.
Yeah, and obviously like his thing is like, oh, like the National Party has gotten too far left wing, and I'm the antidote to that. But again, it's not really about like who's more left wing or not, or has the party gone too far. Like no, like nobody cares about that. That's not how voters think. Like the average moderate voter has like one or two genuinely left wing beliefs and one or two like insanely right wing beliefs, and then everything in between is just a mishmash of what other people tell them. But like Eric Adams is like, okay, the energy crystals underneath the island of Manhattan, fact. His belief that Gracie Mansion is haunted and that there are quote ghosts creeping around there. He said that
I spent an hour last night in my bedroom talking to Philo LaGuardia, and he's been dead for 50 years.
Okay, and then I just like there's just one other thing. Not funny because there was another horrific murder on the New York City subway this weekend. Some guy just got like randomly just shot, like some insane person just like going across the Manhattan Bridge. His statement on this killing says, "It is my responsibility to keep New Yorkers safe. My heart goes out to that family. I'm sorry they lost their loved one. I thank God I'm the mayor right now." Which is that's really what a grieving family wants to hear. It's just like, can you imagine if some other guy was mayor right now?
Yeah, it's like what do you want to be though? Like if crime is going to be going up in American cities, do you want to be the one who's there trying to like say no, it's actually fine, we're gonna do something to fix it, or the guy who's just gonna like be like fucking He-Man, just going to take it upon himself, like fucking Charles Bronson, and he could then be like on your behalf, like your frustration, and he could be your hero, baby.
He is a genuine streetwise Hercules, and
Indeed.
that's what the country needs right now. So, like I said, not going to be voting for him, but like it's just finally our advice is being heeded. The vibe shift is happening, and most people are weirdos, but they can't like you. That weirdness, it can't be mediated by like an online point of view. Like that's for a different kind.
That's mind poison. That fills you with self-doubt, and that's what gets you to go away from your true authentic weirdness, which is what people relate to, and tack towards the party line, the stuff that feels fraudulent, like the stuff people know, oh, you got that from the internet. You got that from a focus group. That's not your real freak flag flying. And so, yeah, like we need people who are fully so confident, so supernaturally sure of themselves that they have burned their social media ships and are just going off into the fucking wilderness by themselves.
Before we move on from Eric Adams, can I relay one other Eric Adams story?
Yeah.
Which is apparently he was at the opening of a new Hard Rock restaurant in Times Square, the Hard Rock Cafe.
What? They're opening one now in Times Square?
Like a huge complex. There was a big party there, and the New York Magazine sent their party reporter there. And that person got stuck in an elevator with Eric Adams. Not stuck, but ended up in an elevator with Eric Adams and asked for a statement on it. And he just looked the reporter in the eye and said, "I love the Hard Rock."
For those about the Hard Rock, we salute you. We salute New York City. We salute Times Square, and its Hard Rock loving mayor. I mean, wasn't he like? Oh yeah, there was like partying. Wasn't he was partying with Cara Delevingne or whatever her name is?
Like the credit card party.
Okay, yeah, nice. Who was she like grinding on the other day? People, she's out of pocket.
She's
ham. She was like doing some like model bullshit to Megan Thee Stallion. Like Megan Thee Stallion was taking a picture in like a complicated dress, and Cara Delevingne was like, "Oh, I'm a model. I know how to like flip the flappy part, the tail of the dress." And then everyone was making fun of her, presumably because she was like wearing glasses. It kind of made her look like a creature. But that was the thing you're thinking of. Presumably she's like horny for Megan Thee Stallion, which like
who is it?
I honestly think what's happening is